All right, good morning. My name is Judith Khalamwa. I'll be representing on the role of ICT in enhancing sustainability of water infrastructure. So the value that I hope this paper will be able to add to you is while in conducting your services and in your businesses, that you will be able to provide additional value addition for people involved in construction of water infrastructure as well as other utilities, because the principles of this paper are generally the same. Right, so the layout of this paper is we're going to look at the challenges facing sustainability of water infrastructure. We're going to look at the role of ICT in supporting performance of the infrastructure. We're going to look at the technical, how ICT supports technical performance, financial performance, management systems. We're going to look at smart infrastructure and emerging markets throughout the world. And finally, we'll conclude. So within the water sector, these, I believe, are challenges that are familiar with most of us, where you see illegal connections, you see faulty meters, issues of faulty faucets, leakages, pipe bursts, issues of access. So just to define these challenges that are facing the water sector, there's issues on the condition of the infrastructure, funding for these projects, issues regarding climate change, such as water scarcity, financial viability of infrastructure, government regulations, emergency planning, just generally issues regarding costs and financial sustainability. So how does ICT support performance of infrastructure? And what technologies can you be able to implement and at least be able to bring forth when you're relating with your clients that can be able to help them in improving the sustainability of the infrastructure? So working currently within the framework of the current policy on sustainable development, which is the Johannesburg Plan of Implementation of 2002. The plan focuses on, with what's relevant to this paper, there's technology development, transfer and diffusion, financial and technical support, and improving efficiency. So how does ICT within the current policy framework enable you to carry out this? So we'll look at this through looking at how ICT supports technical performance, how ICT supports financial performance of infrastructure, and how ICT supports the quality of management systems. So when you're looking at technical performance of infrastructure, you're looking at the performance of the different infrastructure components. You're looking at the condition of the infrastructure and the access, and you're looking at operations and maintenance. So technologies that are in place to support carrying out of this is such as, we have advanced metering infrastructure. We have automated meter readers. So instead of currently, a lot of us are implementing manual readers. These are systems that can be able to automatically transmit metadata to systems that can be able to relay this data directly to the utilities and as well as the users. So these systems are integrated, customer integrated systems. This is what I've elaborated here. There are also other technologies such as transceivers, which can be able to allow for the active detection of leaks You have sensor interfaces, which can also be used to be able to sense particular conditions within the pipes and within the infrastructure. You have acoustic monitoring systems as well, and sound wave technologies, which can be able to provide information on water pressure, which can be able to provide information on water quantity, can be able to provide information on, for example, how much energy is being lost within a system, where leakages are happening, and other such information. So this is an example of a situation where ICT was actually used in being able to assist the utility, which was in Christchurch, which is in New Zealand. During the earthquake, they were able to use robotic hands to be able to go into the infrastructure, and this information during an earthquake, and this information was able to assist them in establishing and in evaluating the state of the infrastructure after the natural disaster. So how does ICT be able to support you as well in evaluating financial performance of infrastructure and being able to improve the financial performance of infrastructure? You can be able to monitor the capacity of the infrastructure to meet its capital expenditure and operational expenditure, and be able to notice and be able to monitor, for example, how this infrastructure is meeting these costs through being able to integrate the average tariff unit and with the quantity of whether you're working with water, you're working with electricity, or whichever utility you're working with, whether in heat or in steam, because the general principles are the same for all utilities, whether you're working in industries or with the government. So yeah, you can be able to collect information on the average tariff against the operational cost, because you can be able to collect information on how much is, yeah. You can also be able to collect information on the collection revenue, on the collection ratio. So you're able to know revenue that's been collected against the revenue that's been expected. For example, through automated metering, with data that's relayed back to interfaces at the utility, you can be able to convert the usage of these utilities, and be able to just get information on the revenue that should be collected. You can be able to get information on the collection period, because with a lot of utilities, you have problems where revenues are not collected on time. So you can also be able to get information on the operation cost and the coverage, because this information provides real-time monitoring. So you can be able to see during the operation of this utility where there are leakages, where there are bursts, where you're having illegal connections. You can be able to get this information while the infrastructure is operating, and this can be able to, depending on how you do your data management, this can be able to give information on the operation cost as well. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. So this can be done through, for example, the use of flow meters. In this particular section, this is a pressure sensor, and the pressure sensor, it's getting too technical, but pressure sensors can be able just to provide information on the pressure that's leaving, and that information can be able to calculate it and get information on the quantities and the energy and a lot of other information that can be able to support you. So this is like vibration sensors as well, can be used in monitoring, especially of pumps. So if you're working with pumps, for example, in water utilities, the vibrations of the pump bearings are an indication of the inefficiency that the pump is running at. So if you're able to monitor, the vibrations of the pump bearings, you're able to know that you can be able to directly correlate that to the efficiency of the pump, and that can be able to give information on how much money and how much energy it is that you're losing due to inefficiency. You can also be able to get information through electricity, voltage, and power sensors. And these conversion rates can be able to give you information on the efficiency also of the pump in converting electricity and voltage into power. So yeah, if you have sensors on the electricity lines, on the voltage lines, and on the power sensors, you can be able to do those conversions. Yeah, I think this is just getting into further details, sorry. And here we're going to look at how ICT can be able to support you in obtaining information on quality management systems. So this data that we're talking about collecting, what are you going to do with it? So this data can be able to give information on the energy that's being lost through inefficiencies. And it can be able to convert this as well using unit cost of, if you're using electricity, you can be able to convert that inefficiency into an actual cost to the utility. So if you're having a utility that's operating at 2 billion in losses, you can be able to know that this amount of money is being lost due to energy inefficiency, this amount of money is being lost due to leakages, this amount of money is being lost too. So this is information that would be really valuable to a lot of your clients, and this is just a way of providing value addition in the work that you do. In the work that we do, sorry. So yeah, you can be able to obtain water lost, which is a big problem within Nairobi. We have an issue of about 50%. In Nigeria, I know it's at about 70% of unaccounted for water. So in being able to support monitoring of such information, we would be able to support some of our clients. So yeah, so this data that's collected can give you information, that's what I'm saying, on the cost of inefficiency. It can be able to give you revenue expected. It can be able to evaluate risks that are facing the infrastructure. And this would be looking at actual risk based due to data that we have actually collected from the infrastructure. We'd also be looking at carbon emissions, which would be an issue, which is currently a big issue, especially when you're working with donors and aid agencies, to looking at carbon emissions from your infrastructure and how it is you can be able to improve efficiency. You'll be able to look at operational costs of the infrastructure. So a lot of, for example, water utilities are not cost efficient. And yeah, being able to look at these costs and look at where exactly these costs are coming from and being able to monitor them in real time would be able to really support a lot of industries. So yeah, this data creates large implications for operational efficiency, timely maintenance and sustainability of water infrastructure, and as well as infrastructure that's used to transmit a lot of utilities. Yeah, so, and also quality of data management. While you're able to get all that information, there's also ICT's role in supporting utilities, for example, such as bills verification. You have work logs for utilities. In Nairobi, currently, we have an implementation of a system known as MagiVoice, which was implemented by our regulator, Water Services Regulatory Board, government parastatal, which is currently used to monitor case logs. It was implemented by World Bank. We also have something known as Magi Data in Kenya, which is used to monitor access of water within Nairobi. So what are some of the challenges in implementing ICT to be able to support performance and sustainability of infrastructure? So one of the major challenges that I've been able to see in trying to implement some of these systems has been, we've been having issues of data transmission from the infrastructure to the systems that we expect to manage this data. And this is due to variation in transmission techniques. So in one place you can have Wi-Fi, in another place you can have data bundled. And this is not constant throughout the spatial areas that we're working, and throughout time, that's a problem. And then in some technologies, we've noticed that the uptake cost is a bit of an inhibiting factor. So smart water infrastructure in emerging markets, and there's also smart electricity. So this is a concept that's actually coming up, and it's not quite established, but it is under development, and there's a lot of markets which are developing for this. Now, not only within sub-Saharan Africa, but also within Europe, Asia, in India, Latin America, in the Middle East, in Northern Africa, just globally throughout the world, there's a lot of emerging markets, not just for smart water infrastructure, for smart electricity infrastructure, for industries that are looking at being able to operate more efficiently, at donors who are looking to be able to establish accountability in their projects. So smart infrastructure is coming up all, and so the emerging markets. So in conclusion, to realize the effective use of water resources and other economic assets, the use of ICT is necessary. Market reduction in the price of sensors in internet growth and development of cloud technology for computer virtualization and storage, and in application and software development is supporting the use of ICT in infrastructure sustainability. So with current challenges facing not just the water and environmental sanitation sector, but in most sectors that are using infrastructure that are transmitting utilities, the integration of engineering and ICT is necessary to be able to manage limited economic resources effectively through development of smart infrastructure and ICT solutions. So smart society can be able to realize through African partnerships, not just with each other, but also like African partnerships of consulting engineers, to promote ICT as a value that's added in your products. Thank you.